Hey friend, welcome back to the show. Today we're stepping into a leadership conversation that I think most heart-led, high-integrity leaders wrestle with at some point or another, maybe even often. I feel like often is more my story in recent years. I want to ask you, how do you navigate the tension between doing what's best for your organization or the customer and the discomfort that comes when your team doesn't agree or isn't happy with the outcome or the decision? How do you hold the line on a necessary decision, even a right one, when team members push back, sometimes repeatedly, hoping to get a different answer? How do you lead with clarity and compassion without being labeled rigid, uncaring, controlling, or autocratic? Well, we're going to go there because it's for real. It's hard. And if you're listening to the podcast, I know you are a leader who cares. You're not trying to bulldoze anyone. You're trying to steward well. Let's talk about the uncomfortable but essential leadership skill of setting healthy boundaries, especially when your decisions aren't popular.
Are you a busy woman in leadership who feels pulled in 1,000 directions? Do you wrestle with perfectionism, people-pleasing, or never feeling like you're enough no matter how successful you are on paper? Are you longing for more time, more peace, and more energy to live and lead the way God intended? Sister, you are right where you need to be. Hi, I'm Tanya, a wife, mom, healthcare leader, Christian life coach, and functional health practitioner. I spent decades hustling for my worth through achievement and approval, only to end up burned out and exhausted. But God showed me a better way, a grace-fueled way. And now, I help women just like you break free from people-pleasing and overwhelm, lead well, live well, and be well. Here, we blend spirit-driven success with practical leadership, wellness, and mindset strategies so that you can multiply your time and impact without sacrificing your health or your family. If you're ready to lead well, live healthier, and finally find the peace and purpose God has waiting for you, you are in the right place. So roll up your sleeves, sister friends. It's time to reclaim your time, restore your joy, and lead from grace.
Let's start with this truth. As leaders, we are always managing the gap between what people want and what people need. And one of the biggest traps relational leaders fall into is trying to close that gap with people-pleasing or over-explaining. We think that if we say it just right, they'll agree with us. We think that if we keep the conversation going, we can eventually reach consensus. But here's the hard reality. Consensus is not always possible, and it's not always necessary. Leadership rooted in truth doesn't bend every time resistance shows up at the door. Healthy leadership holds space for emotion without letting emotion dictate direction. This isn't about being dismissive, it's about being decisive. And let me be clear, decisiveness is not arrogance. It's clarity in action. When we've done our due diligence, we've sought wise counsel, we've considered the impact on the whole system, and we've made a decision that aligns with missions and values, it's okay for the answer to stay the same, even if the reaction isn't positive. So how do we know when a staff concern is part of healthy dialogue and when it crosses into something less productive? Well, here's some things we might look for. First, is the person asking new questions or just repeating the same concern? Second, are they seeking to understand or attempting to convince? 3, has the concern already been addressed clearly and consistently? And 4, are they escalating emotionally rather than engaging respectfully? If the exchange has turned into an effort to push for a different outcome, especially after the decision has been made, it may be time to lovingly but firmly set a boundary. Here's an example of what that might look like or sound like. I've heard your concerns and I want you to know they were taken seriously in our decision-making process. At this point, we're moving forward with the plan that's been communicated. I understand that this may be disappointing and I'm here to support you as you adjust, but the decision is final. Notice that tone? It's not cold, it's not defensive, it's clear. And clarity is kindness. Now let's talk practically. If you're in the thick of this, here are a few steps to help you hold your leadership ground without compromising your values or your integrity. Number 1, clarify the why and tie it to mission. Always connect the decision to your organization's mission and what's best for the consumer, the customer, the patient, service, or sustainability. For example, this decision wasn't made lightly. It is aligned with our long-term goals to serve patients well and steward our resources wisely. I say patients because I'm in the healthcare space, so you'll likely hear me more often than not refer to patient care in my decision-making. Number 2, acknowledge the impact, even if you can't change the outcome. People want to feel seen. You can validate their feelings without changing the facts. For example, I understand that this change affects your day-to-day and may feel frustrating. Number 3, state the boundary clearly. Don't leave the door cracked if it's already closed. Be direct, kindly. For example, at this point, we won't be revisiting this decision. Our focus now is on moving forward and supporting each other in the implementation. And finally, extend support, not negotiation. Let them know you care, but also that the conversation won't change the direction. For example, I'm here to support you with any questions or resources as you adjust to the new expectations.
Hey friend, quick pause. Can I speak to the woman who's running on fumes right now? If you've been feeling like a stranger in your own body, if the brain fog, the belly fat, or burnout have you left wondering, is this just what midlife feels like? You are not alone. But hear me, midlife isn't a crisis. It is your comeback. Through my personalized functional health coaching, I help high-capacity women leaders balance their hormones, restore their energy, and feel like themselves again, naturally. Are you ready to trade burnout for breakthrough? If so, join my waitlist at gracefilledleader.com/health. That's gracefilledleader.com/HEALTH.
Let's be honest. It's exhausting when people keep bringing up the same issue, hoping to wear you down. It can feel disrespectful, unprofessional. It can feel personal. It can even make you question your own leadership. But here's where emotional maturity and spiritual grounding come into play. Just because someone doesn't like your decision doesn't mean you're making the wrong one. Jesus experienced this all the time. The Pharisees constantly challenged him. His disciples didn't always understand his choices, yet he stayed rooted in his purpose, not swayed by emotional reactions or pressure from others. You, as a leader, are called to the same thing, to lead in alignment with your values and your mission, even when it's uncomfortable and unpopular. That doesn't mean we ignore feedback, but it does mean that we don't change course to just avoid conflict. Now let's take a moment to clarify something I know some of you might fear, and that is, how do I know I'm not being autocratic in my leadership? Well, here's a simple comparison. Autocratic leadership is driven by control and fear. Healthy leadership with boundaries is driven by clarity and care. Autocratic leadership shuts down all feedback. Healthy leadership welcomes feedback within appropriate limits. Autocratic leadership enforces without context. Healthy leadership explains reasoning tied to the mission, vision, and decision. Autocratic leadership discourages discussion. Healthy leadership encourages respectful, time-bound dialogue. Autocratic leadership prioritizes power. Healthy leadership prioritizes people and purpose. See the difference? Boundaries aren't about shutting people out. They're about keeping the mission on course while honoring both people and purpose. If you are carrying the weight of a hard decision today, if someone on your team is disappointed or even upset, you are not failing. You are leading. And leadership will sometimes mean that people don't like your decisions, no matter how well you communicate them. That does not mean you've done something wrong. Our job is not to avoid all discomfort. Our job is to make wise, informed, mission-aligned decisions and lead others through them with grace and courage. It's okay to be misunderstood. It's okay to be unpopular. And it's okay to say, this conversation is closed. When you lead with prayer, principle, and purpose, you can have peace even when others don't agree with you. So hold your ground, friend. You were chosen to lead for such a time as this, not because it's easy, but because it's needed. When you feel the tension of wanting to be liked versus needing to lead, remember this. You're not leading for approval. You are leading for impact, and impact requires courage. So just a few key takeaways. Healthy leadership doesn't mean everyone agrees. It means people are cared for even in disagreement. It's okay to say the conversation is closed. That's not being rude, that's being responsible. Boundaries create clarity. Clarity creates trust. The goal is not to be liked. The goal is to lead with love, wisdom, and consistency. Until next time, lead well, live well, and be well, sister friend.
I pray this episode blessed you, spoke to you, or encouraged you in some way. If so, please share it with a friend and head on over to Apple Podcasts to leave me a review. That's the only way for me to know if you're enjoying the show. Nothing blesses me more than to hear from you. Also, come on over to our free Facebook community. This is a great place for us to support one another on our faith and leadership journeys. You can find the link to the group in the show notes or go to gracefilledleader.com/community. If you have questions or content ideas for the show, please send me a message on SpeakPipe or via email. Go to gracefilledleader.com/contact and leave a written or voice recorded message. I would love to know how I can best serve you on the podcast. Now to Him who can do immeasurably more than we can ask or imagine, according to His power that is at work within us. Ephesians 3, verse 20. Until next time, my friends, God bless.